I would like to officially call this meeting to order at 7:00 p.m., the stated time. I think what we'll do tonight, we've been looking at a couple of things. There is a way for you to raise your hands electronically, but we're not going to use it because it causes me to have to blot out a big piece of the screen in order to see it. So just raise your hand, and I'll try to call on you. Okay. All right. At this point, Lisa, do you want to take the attendance?
You know what? I don't have the board list in front of me. Do you have one?
Okay.
I can get one. Wait a minute.
Are we all using the gallery view?
Yes, I am.
Yeah.
If you're using the gallery view in the upper right-hand corner, it will allow you to see everybody.
Okay.
And the other thing you should know is that you can, here, let me get rid of this stupid thing that's blotting out Mike. You can actually change your name. If you don't like the name that it's showing for you, you can actually go in and change it. Go into participants at the bottom of the screen. You can get to your name, and it'll allow you under more to rename yourself. So there you go. Fortunately, no one has an embarrassing name. I was on one the other day where someone had an embarrassing name that their nephew put on their computer. Their name.
I've been called embarrassing names.
It was somewhat embarrassing. So that can happen. So you can rename yourself. Okay, I think the way we're going to do this, again, raise your hand if you want to speak, and we're going to try to get through this meeting as quickly as possible. So I can call the names.
Okay.
Joe.
Here.
John.
Here.
I'm here. Jim.
Here.
Alex.
Here.
Justin.
Here.
Jennifer.
Here.
Lisa.
Here.
Mike.
Here.
Julie.
Here.
Pete.
Here.
And Mary.
Here.
We have everyone here. The next item on the agenda is COVID-19 updates and decisions. Nicole, do you have anything for us? We've lost Nicole's voice.
Nicole, you're on mute.
Nicole, unmute. There you go.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
And you.
So the superintendent did ask me to provide a few updates with regard to COVID. The most important of which is on Friday, we handed out 150 devices to students and families to get distance learning up and running. Today was the first day of distance learning, and all reports are that it went really, really well, really smoothly. We had a lot of students laughing and a lot of parents really impressed with how things went. So that was good feedback. The governor has waived the testing requirements, so we will not be doing SBAC, next generation, any kind of accountability tests this year, even if we do return to school. She wanted me to let you know that all our buildings are closed, but that she has given permission to ONG to proceed in certain spaces under Don's supervision so that some of the work that needs to be done can continue on with regard to the AgriScience project. And that's the update.
Okay, yeah, Megan and I talked about AgriScience, and I kind of felt very strongly we should try to get that bloody project finished. And the only way we're going to do that is to have the commissioning agents in the building commissioning and touching things, surfaces, and all kinds of things. And the same thing with there's a lot of work in the building that is punch list items that need to come back and finish little things that were on a list. I know Don's done a walkthrough with the building and given them a punch list as well. And so we felt it was on balance better to have that work being done so we could finish the school, and then we can deep clean it. And that just seemed like the better way to go rather than keeping them out until we were closer to returning kids. Mike.
Yeah, just one update for the good of the order. Governor Lamont just issued an order that the schools are going to be closed until April 20th. And then maybe beyond, possibly beyond that too, but he's extending it beyond the end of March to April 20th.
Yeah, not a surprise there. And I think it really validates our decision to go to distance learning. And the governor was cooperative there and giving us enough, guidance that we could do that properly. I think we're better off doing this so we don't lose a year. Okay. I'm going to move on to field trip notifications. We have a, yes. I'm sorry.
I have a question about the rollout with going live. I don't know if this is the time to ask, or is there another time?
Go ahead.
Okay, so I just wanted to, obviously we want to commend all the teachers and staff for on last minute notice getting ready for today, right? Because they were notified last Wednesday and then went through training, I believe Thursday and Friday to set up for today. That's correct, right, Nicole? Yes. So I guess for me, there's a couple questions. I know that there was an email that went out to parents and I was confused about it, and I don't have the exact quote, but something along the lines of that students do not have to attend live class. Is that true? And if so, I need a little explanation about that, because it doesn't make sense to me that a student doesn't have to attend the live class. They just have to check in with their computer. What's the point of the teacher being live if the students don't have to be there?
So my understanding is that the live classes, the live instruction with the teacher is being recorded, and it will be posted into the platforms, whichever platform the teachers are using, Google Classroom, I think, being the main one. So the students do have to attend that session and watch that live recording, but in case there are things that prohibit them from doing it at exactly the time it's being delivered, if they can't be there exactly that time, then they have to make up that live session by watching the recorded session.
So if there's attendance, because don't the teachers have to take attendance during the live session? So I guess for me, it just, I mean, if we're all stuck at home, I can't imagine, other than obviously a child being sick, not being able to attend the live. I guess it just seems like extra work for a teacher to have to take attendance, but not everybody's there. And if you're giving them permission to not attend, I don't know how many students would necessarily not just roll out of bed and go on live.
I'm sorry, Jen, I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, it's fine.
Yeah, Mike?
I think I can answer that question too, Jen, because today was the first day that Wilton went live in terms of instruction. But like Chapag, we're not mandated that we're synchronous, in other words, live. In fact, the expectation is that most of your instruction will not be live. It'll be recorded, or it'll be via postings on Google Classroom that students are doing for exactly the same reasons that Nicole had mentioned. As far as attendance is concerned, I think most districts around the state are pretty. Either students are present or they're not present. We've been told, and I'm not sure what the specifics at Chapag are, but we've been told that if a student checks in within 48 hours on an assignment in any way, shape, or form, then they are present, and the state is okay with that.
I guess for me, then what's the point of it? But aren't you, Michael, interacting with the students when they're on live?
Not necessarily, no.
So then what's the point of being live? Can't a teacher just do a recording and then let their students check in?
They could, yeah.
Because I just feel like if it's taxing the teachers even more so, is there an easier way to do this as we're fleshing it out? And I know it's all trial and error at the moment.
But I don't think, and Nicole, is there a requirement that they are live? I didn't think there was.
I don't think that there's a requirement that all classes are live all the time. I think they want to have 20 minutes of interactive learning every day.
Right.
Okay.
But that could be like postings on Google Classroom, where kids are word processing.
Okay.
Or even talking to each other,
Right.
Editing, for example, would be interaction.
Okay.
Lots of ways you can do it.
Right.
Greg, I have a comment. Just from talking to Kate and Henry today, which actually went through it today, all of their classes were live, and it sounds as if every teacher has their own rules. In fact, Kate couldn't sign into her math class and therefore was marked absent because she just couldn't connect in. Whereas in her agri-science class, there were very strict rules that they couldn't wear pajamas or eat, and they had to be there live and paying attention and participate. So
being in your pajamas was the best part.
Right. So I think every teacher has a different interpretation how they want to work this. As both of my kids, both of their classes were live and they had to be there. So maybe, we need to have some sort of
Uniform.
everything platform or have it to be the same, just so that there's an equity across the table, because I don't think my kids even thought that not being there from 11:30 till 3 was an option. So I don't know that they should have an option.
Yeah.
I kind of agree with you, Jen.
Yeah.
Justin and then John.
Yeah, just two quick comments. Kind of to go off what Mike was saying, my district goes live on Wednesday. So we spent all day today and tomorrow we'll be prepping. And our attendance it's not perfect, but if you do the work, you will get credit for, that's how we're taking attendance basically.
Right.
The other thing is that as far as the live goes, we're obviously, New Milford's a much bigger district, but we're discouraged from going live, and rather what they're pushing us to do is really communicate with parents. So for example, like from 8 to 2 o'clock most Tuesday through Friday, I'll be in front of a computer, kind of on call as students or parents have issues.
I think the mantra is flexibility.
Right.
I'm sorry, John, you wanted to add something.
Yeah, maybe Mike and Justin could add to this. I was assuming that the paras, the tutors, the teachers' assistants might be unemployed, but apparently they're going to be have some part in this online learning.
Yeah. I think everyone at Wilton High, from paras on up, is involved, especially paras, because they're usually working with a very needy population.
One-on-one, yeah.
Right. So what they're specifically doing for their charges, I'm not sure. I don't, I have a co-teacher who's a special education teacher, and I know I could see her reaching out online to all of my special education students via email pretty much throughout the day.
Thanks.
Okay, Joe.
This is obviously an evolving situation. As long as we get the information out to the teachers on what we feel they should be doing, I guess that's one way we can do it, or get the information to Megan and say, listen,
yeah,
maybe we should do it this way or that way. And obviously this is new to everybody. So the teachers are trying to figure it out. Students are trying to figure it out.
It's not our job to get the information to the teachers. Megan has to do this. Unfortunately, she's not available tonight, but we can relay it to Megan, but we're not supposed to get the information to the teachers on how to do their jobs.
Yeah, no, I think during this, there's going to be a learning process, and we're going to know a lot more at the end of this week than we ever knew before the beginning of this week. And I think within a short period of time, we'll have it to where we have protocols that always have to be and ones that are optional. And I'm confident that our administration will get it right, and our teachers will get it right. So it just take about a week or two to get adjusted. But the good news is that in this district, we are going to have 180 days of instruction this year, and it's going to end in the middle of June as opposed to ending at the end of June.
Right.
And we're going to get those days in. And I think that's the critical element, and it'll be good learning. So that's, we're determined to get that done. So are we, any other points or questions or observations here on this? Otherwise, we'll move on to the next item on the agenda, which is field trip notifications. I think these were on our last meeting agenda. The superintendent gave you a report on that. The Museum of Science is still on because it's scheduled for May, but that's 8th grade, but that may or may not happen depending on the year. The senior class trip to Baltimore and Washington, D.C. has been postponed, and the Repertorio Español trip to New York has been canceled. That's an 11th grade trip. So I want to move on to the next item on the agenda, which is I'll entertain a motion to prevent outside vendors from utilizing school facilities until April 30, 2020, with the exception of aftercare. Is there a motion?
So moved.
I'm sorry, I didn't see who that was.
Jen, so moved.
Jen, moved by Jen, second?
I got it.
Second by Lisa. Further discussion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Please raise your hand. And keep it up for Sue to be able to count you. All those opposed?
Oh, sorry.
Anyone opposed?
Sorry. No.
No one opposed. Anyone abstaining? No one abstaining, so it's 12 votes to none.
Greg, I have a question.
Yes.
What is on the agenda tonight is the same thing that was on the agenda on the 16th.
That's correct.
So you're going through all the motions and voting all over again?
Well, we're voting on the three motions, the three main things that were on that agenda, which were this outside vendors, the superintendent's budget, and the authorization and resolution for the bond issue.
Okay, so those are the same things that were on the last agenda.
Same things that were on the last agenda. As you know, that agenda was not posted entirely correctly, and it was a
Okay.
mistake. And so,
Okay, only because there's different people making motions, so.
doesn't matter. The other meeting is void. The
Okay.
actions on that meeting are void because there was not a proper posting. So this meeting is the one that's going to be
Okay,
the real deal.
okay, thank you.
Okay. Next item on the agenda is to consider and adopt the superintendent's budget for 2021 as the Region 12 Board of Education budget for 2021 and establish a district budget public hearing. Do I have a motion to do that?
So
No,
moved.
no, we don't want to, we're not approving that budget.
All right.
We're approving the modified budget that reduces the amount to 22,808,40.
That's exactly the one that I'm talking about. So,
Oh, the printout I've got shows 22,980,890 is the motion.
okay. So is there a motion to adopt the superintendent's 2021 budget as the Region 12 Board of Education budget, the amended version that is a flat budget from last year? The same number, 22,808,400?
Correct.
Just a point of order, Greg.
Yes, John.
Do we have to, since last meeting was more or less voided, do we have to basically reconstruct the motion now to bring the budget back to a zero increase?
I don't think so.
I'm still going to do minutes of the last meeting.
But the last meeting was basically null and void.
Well, what we did in that meeting in order to reduce this was we removed,
So much as is necessary to reduce the budget to zero.
right, and we took that out of the capital account. And I think it was 172,000.
Like, do we have to go through the motions again to reinstitute the new budget amount?
You mean the arguments?
Yeah, just make a motion to reduce the budget to zero.
That's what was done.
Well, don't reduce the
Yeah.
budget to zero, reduce it to a zero increase.
Right. That's what was done, but that was done, I'm not gonna say illegally, but it wasn't a posted meeting, so it was
John,
voided.
Well, it was posted, but it was partial. There were a couple of postings that were missing, so.
I can tell you what the original motion was to remove the amount.
Okay, why don't you read that?
There's the motion to remove $172,490 from the capital facility to bring budget to a 0%. Motion was made by Mary, second by Jim, and the vote passed 8-4.
Okay, this was a motion to, remove that amount from the capital budget.
Correct.
And that was to reduce the budget to a $0 increase. The budget would be
808,400.
$808,400.
Correct.
Okay, is there a motion to that effect?
I so move.
Okay, Alex has moved. Is there a second?
Second.
Well, I heard a bunch of them. I don't know which one you got, Sue.
I had a line under Mary.
Okay, you got Mary second. Okay, is there further discussion of the budget? Do we all understand what budget we're voting on?
Greg,
Yes, Pete?
we're not addressing the renovation issue, the repair issue.
No, we're just talking about the budget.
Okay, right, I understand.
Right, now, I think last time we set it down for a district budget hearing on the 30th of this month, which I think is maybe or maybe not, depending on whether we can perfect a method for the public to have input. It's got to be in strict compliance with the governor's order 7, I think it's 7B1, if I'm not mistaken, but there's an order that specifically says how we need to conduct these meetings and how the public input has to be. This meeting was noticed in that manner, but we need to do that for the district budget public hearing. But we can notice it for next week, but I don't know that that's the smartest thing.
Greg, why don't you vote on the motion first, then discuss when the hearing is going to be held?
All right. If there's no other comments on the budget, I'll go to a vote. But is there anyone else that wants to address anything before we do that? All right. All those in favor of the motion, please signify by saying aye. Raise your hand, rather.
Hands.
Aye.
2, 3,
I'm showing everyone saying aye.
8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Yes, I get them all. Okay, all those opposed? Opposed? All those abstaining? No opposed, no abstaining. Motion passes 12 votes to none. All right, now, we could set that for a district budget public hearing. Nicole, did the superintendent have anything on that?
Yes, we don't need to hold the district hearing because of the governor's executive order. So we're going to take the steps to allow for public comment on the budget through the website. So we won't hold the public district hearing. People will be able to comment by reaching out to me on the district website, and then I'll create a shared document so that the board can see the public comment. And that's how the public will have to give their comments to us regarding the budget.
Okay. Anybody have an issue with that?
Yeah, Greg,
Yeah, Pete.
how is the public going to know this?
Well, the same way they would know there was a district hearing. It would be put on our website. It would be, Nicole, I don't know what else we do besides put it on our website.
So
we noticed it.
One thing that I should mention is the publication already went out in the paper based on the last meeting. So in Sunday's paper, the notice to warn of the annual district meeting did appear for March 30th. So we're going to have to retract that, which we'll do on the front page of our website. Everything's going to be right on the front page. And then Megan and I will work on a communication to send out at least to the community, in addition to the website, send a directed notification to our parents in our community that we do have, like on the school all call, to let them know the budget is posted for public comment. We're going to have to do it by word of mouth and by having it up on the very front page of the website. So the minute somebody goes to the website, it's there.
Okay, John first, and then.
Yeah, in addition, maybe you could add to this, Nicole, because in conversations I had today with Greg and our first selectman's office in Washington, they're maintaining that we may not even have to have a referendum on the budget.
That's correct.
So
There won't be a
that's,
referendum.
by
That's
executive order also. Thanks.
It has to be.
All right,
Sorry.
Lisa?
Hold on, I'm sorry. Nicole, what did you say? There won't be a referendum?
There does not have to be a public vote on the budget. That's what the governor's executive order. The governor's executive order gave the authority.
I understand that, but you didn't say that there will not be one. That's up to the board, is that right? Whether there's a vote?
Yes.
Well, it's up to the board, subject to being vetoed by the governor if he doesn't permit a gathering of that sort. I mean, I'm really hoping we don't have votes stopped. I don't want to see our elections postponed in any way, shape, or form, but I understand the concern right now being what it is. The interesting thing is if the budget goes down and is voted down, would we put it to a vote? We would end up with last year's budget. If the budget is approved, we will end up with with this year's version of last year's budget. And either way, because we can move items among line items, it ends up in the same place. So it's not like there would be a difference if it's voted up or voted down. You end up with the same number, the same amount would be collected. So it wouldn't change at all. Either way it goes. Jen.
Well, Lisa first.
No, my
Lisa.
my question was answered. Thank you.
I don't know about Roxbury and Bridgewater, but maybe having one of those town calls to let people know that they can, I don't know, this is a different kind of circumstance. Maybe they could call.
I'm absolutely certain that Barbara Henry would do that from Roxbury. So I don't know whether your other towns have that.
Jim would do it. I don't know Julie of Curtis, but it might be an opportunity to just inform the public without having to spend money by sending out postcards or whatever.
That's a great idea.
Okay. Alex and then Justin.
Yeah, I think that I get emails from Curtis and Town Hall all the time. I'm on the email list. So I think that would be one good way to get that out. And the other is we could literally post things around town, you know, in the village store, at the post office. Town hall's closed, so it wouldn't do any good to post it there.
The only issue is that people are really trying to avoid going out at all. So I think that by just notifying by phone call or email might be our best.
I
agree.
think phone call, email, website is probably the main way to do it, because I just don't think many people are out and about that are spending time anywhere, or that are going to stand and look at something. They want to get in and get out of the place before they see any other human being.
And a lot of population are having people run errands for them. So it just, a lot of people.
Justin, did you have something?
Oh, yeah. I know Barbara Henry's last email, maybe from last night, mentioned that the budget is at zero, or a flat budget, or she was talking about meeting with other town agencies. So, I mean, I'm sure she would be able to get it out to the public, right?
Absolutely certain that she's very good at doing that and getting things out in a way that everyone understands what's going on. And this will be the kind of thing that I think the town would want to have out there.
Yeah.
Julie?
Yeah, Bridgewater doesn't do the robocalls at this point, but we do a lot of social media and a lot of emails, so I'm sure we could get it out.
Great.
Okay. I think, Nicole, if you could just make sure that the administration coordinates with the three towns on this to get the data out any way, shape, or form possible. You know, if we do this right, if we really do this right, we're going to find that we have more information in the hands of the public if we do it right, and I think that's important.
Yeah.
So, okay. All right. So we're not going to hold a district budget public hearing, so we don't need to consider that aspect of it. So if there's no objection, I'd like to move on to the last item that's on the agenda, which is the repair appropriation, the bond issue. Before we can, in order to put this on the floor, I have to read the resolution and ask if there's a motion to adopt it. We'll ask for a second, and then we'll have discussion. Okay. Do I have a motion to adopt the following resolutions of the Board of Education? Yes.
Excuse me. I'm going to put it on silent. When you're finished, would you raise your hand?
Okay. The resolutions of the Board of Education of Regional School District number 12. Resolve, the Board of Education adopts the following resolution to be submitted for approval by a referendum vote of the voters of the district. Wait a minute, I don't know about that. Nicole, is that something that our good friends at Bond Council are going to have to say?
So my understanding after talking to Megan today, and she had met by phone with the three select people, is that we want to move forward in approving the plan to go to referendum, but it needs to be delayed a month at a minimum until we see when we can get the referendum to a vote to have the public gathering in order to place the vote. So the flyer that Megan prepared that's going to go to mass mailing doesn't have a date on it. So we don't have to release that yet. And what we're thinking after talking through it is with everything that's going on and the closure being so new, that if we waited a few weeks to move forward in noticing the meeting, it might be more palatable for people to digest, just because things are happening so fast right now. To go out and try to force this meeting that may or may not happen, and to send these flyers out looking for $4.5 million, maybe we should slow this down and take this, we can proceed with our intent to do this, but not schedule the hearing yet for the 30th.
Okay, so do you still want us to vote on this? On this resolution?
Yeah, I think maybe the vote should be to postpone the resolution.
Well,
Sorry.
hey, Jim, I'm not reading anymore, so you might want to come back on.
I'm here. I was just kidding.
Okay, so what do our collective, the wisdom of our bond advisors, our bond counsel, and our superintendent are that we should not vote on this tonight?
That we should postpone it, yes,
So pull this off the agenda and skip it.
correct.
All right? Is anybody opposed to that course of action, or do you really want me to read the entire 14-page resolution?
I think Jim does.
Yeah, I know Jim does, but we're going to have a sidebar after the meeting where I read this resolution to him until he either falls asleep or hits me.
Does it hurt anything to pass the motion so that in case we need it, it's there?
It starts the time running for all the notices. And we
Okay,
will
then,
leave that
okay,
time.
good. Then you're right. Let's not do
Yeah, I
it.
think we better hold off on it. John?
But if there is a referendum, it would include both motions, both votes.
Well, the governor's executive order doesn't speak with regard to referendums to bonds. It speaks specifically to the budget. So he allowed the waiving of the referendum for the budget vote, but not the waiving of a referendum to seek bond issuance. So now we're dealing with two completely different.
Yeah, okay, I get it. What if,
Hard waters.
Are we still having our meeting next Monday?
I don't know. Right now, I haven't discussed it with the superintendent. I'm not sure what's on the agenda at this point. We're going to keep it open for a possible meeting, and then we'll decide if we're going to have it or not.
Okay.
I'm trying not to have a million of these, otherwise it'll get tedious. But we'll meet as often as we need to get this process done with these resolutions, because we've got to get this grant. This appropriation has to be done because we need that roof.
Gotcha.
Okay. All right. So if we're going to pass this, I think that's all I have on the agenda. So if there's no objection, we could declare this meeting adjourned by consent at 7. Nope, Mary. Mary.
Nicole, I would just like to ask you if you, for the next meeting that we do have, if you could put the things from the capital non-recurring account that need to be done this year and what can wait until next year. No, that's not right. Ones that have to be done before the end of the school year, things that don't have to be done until the next school year.
I thought at the last meeting, we said with regard to the items that are going to be removed to get us to a 0 increase, we were leaving that to the superintendent's discretion.
Okay.
I think she's going to have some of those items. I've talked to her about some of them. She hasn't finalized her decision, but I can tell you that there are probably some that we're not going to do until next year. Some of them we will do this year. Then she'll probably ask you for a 1% fund payment for those, but not all of them. There's certain things we won't be able to do that way.
Okay.
Okay. Anything else? Okay, if that's it, then we'll declare with no objection. We'll declare this meeting adjourned by consent at 7:34 p.m.